Guys, deluded, I'm back again. YouTube's Lucas Torreira. Thank you very much for tuning back in. And if this is your first time, you might as well hit the like and subscribe buttons because you're hooked in now. You finally got your right dose of common sense now. So let's crack on. Now, it's been a tough start to the season for Arsenal. 2 losses, 1 win. We know Arsenal's a club where you can say a lot right about us, you can say a lot wrong. We're a circus for many reasons, essentially. So it's easy for the papers and things like that to essentially get paid and put meals on their family's table by just spinning stories and inventing them. What I'm referring to, I'm sure you've all seen it now, is allegedly Unai Emery versus Mesut Ozil. They didn't have handbags, they didn't throw each other off a cliff, they didn't do anything like that. Allegedly there was a bus stop. Now I've seen several different reports inflating things to the my belly I growl. But yeah, inflating things to the point where it's more or less like they're about to have a tear up. People are storming off from training and all of these sort of things, down to just calm little words. So people are fabricating stories. So specific to Mesut Ozil and Unai Emery, first and foremost, it clearly, I do believe that some words were had, definitely not what the media is referring to, just on the basis of Unai Emery showing that a man's ruthless. He's praised Mesut Ozil's qualities. He said we want to help Mesut Ozil. He protected him when all the nonsense with Germany's going on. Listed him as one of the 5 captains and things like that. But he hasn't been good enough this season. And quite rightly so, was hooked against Chelsea and things like that. So I think he is demanding more. Obviously, he wasn't in the West Ham side. Allegedly, he wasn't fit. He was ill in the run-up to training. He didn't train on Friday, but he attended the match on Saturday. Allegedly, Emery said you give it as long as you can go, and if you can't play, you can't play. Allegedly, regardless of that, some words were said about he demands more of his players and he needs to do more and things like that. That's the story the media is more or less spinning. I don't think it was a case like that. It's funny how this is why I don't believe that story specific to the media saying, because one minute it's the Ramsey contracts and then it's this. And what I mean by that is when Arsenal were losing the first 2 games of the season, you don't need any other fabricated stories or inflated stories to write, because your paper's already going to get shown. If you show Unai Emery struggling and holding his head and players with their heads down, you know Arsenal sells. So I honestly don't believe that. It's funny how the first time we win a game for the season, this is spun out. And not only this, you're seeing the Ramsey contract nonsense with he's prepared to wait until January. It's funny how and there's several other stories. These things are not floated out until we've won. Certain media sources are bored. But why I do think, not that, but just words with Ozil and between Ozil and Unai Emery is true, because clearly it's for the better. It's the greater good of the team. Mesut Ozil hasn't been playing good enough. He got hooked against Chelsea, quite rightly so. He's a world-class player, allegedly. So he wants, and he's 28 years of age, he demands more. So, of course, if you want, just away from all of their nonsense, of course it's plausible to say Unai Emery to say to Ozil, I need more of you. You're a good player. I need to demand more. Not just Ozil, several other players. The players should be doing that between themselves. Ozil should know that and probably does himself. So that sort of stuff is plausible. If you're not playing 10 out of 10 and dropping 10s game after game, you need to do more. And things like that. We know, on one hand, the fans, it does look like Ozil has had a comfy time at Arsenal to a degree, and he does need to be protected, and he has been. But I don't think it's necessarily fair that people call him soft, call him weak, question his commitment levels. Yeah, the demeanour he gives off isn't exactly 100, but this is a man who last season is played through a fact. He got criticised for these very same things, and it's now come out as a fact that he was playing through the pain barrier, more or less playing at less than 70% for the club. He cut short his holiday after an exhausting World Cup where the Germany nonsense and things were painted about him. He cut that short to play for us. So I don't think it's a case of his commitment levels and he's not down to ride and all of this and things like that. But we do need more. Do I feel, when I watched the game again, the Chelsea game, he did more than I thought, but do we need more? Yes, because you look at David Silva, regardless of if you compare the players or not, you look at David Silva, you look at Kevin, you look at Hazard, they're all different players, but they go-to men for their clubs. Long gone are the days of poetry and motion now. The days of a Berbatov, a Dennis Bergkamp, a Mesut Ozil, even David Silva was once like that to a degree. The days of these classic 10s is over. It's all rugged. Ozil does run, but we do need more. We need, ironically, what's actually going wrong for me, in my opinion, is his defensive application these days, tracking back as much as he can be with that not being his skill set. It's actually the end product and the technique and the final pass and all of these things that you actually would take for granted with Mesut Ozil. And we were questioning his commitment and stuff like that, but the technique was not in question. It's gone in reverse, so he does need to get back. I do think he's still suffering mentally from the whole Germany stuff and things like that, but it's not an excuse specifically to Arsenal. For me, if I'm Mesut Ozil or Mesut Ozil's manager as well, I'd sit him down. I'd be like, listen, Mesut, people talk in extremes with you. They're always going to talk in extremes with you. You helped us win many FA Cups now. Well, 3. Definitely in the first one, you was a main player to that. But if you was to leave the Premier League tomorrow, would anyone say you're a legend or you've been signing as expected? Yeah, you can. Arsenal fans will force it. Will bring up nice little cute heat maps and stuff. But he hasn't been it, innit? He hasn't been undeniably quality when no one can question it. Because if I'm Mesut Ozil, that's what I want people. In the same way you look at David Silva, you once looked at Mata, you look at Kevin now, and you look at Hazard and all of these attacking players, and you know they're quality or have been quality or have left a hallmark of some sorts for their club. Mata at Chelsea. Ozil, you've done that, but you haven't done that. You're now 28 years of age. You've retired from international football. I'm sure you would like to. Arsenal are a long way from winning the league title, but I'm sure you'd like to add to your trophy cabinet, whether that's Europa this year, an FA Cup. Obviously, it's still mathematically possible we can win the league, so let's hope. But there's no way around it. You are stagnating. You're 28 years of age. With all of that said, it's now or never. You need to move more gas. Long gone are the days of poetry and motion. I don't think it's fair to question his commitment levels, but you do, or his application, but you do expect more. It doesn't matter if you're Aubameyang or you're Bellerin. You expect the same level of consistency. When players are playing well, like you see me, people. You guys know I'm not on this bias thing. I don't think Czech should be in the starting lineup for a team that wants to win top 6. But I was calling for him to start in pre-season, and he's been okay. He's been poor, but he's been okay. You guys know I keep it fair. Aubameyang, I got a lot of love for him. He's one of my favourite players on the pitch. Just look at him off the pitch and what he does off and on. He hasn't been at it. So we need to keep it fair. You guys know I love Mesut Ozil, but I'll always keep it 100. I don't feel it's right to question his commitment and stuff. In fact, it is right to question all players, but his application is clearly just there. Just the quality isn't there. And we're not them teams like City where, yeah, they've got David Silva and Kevin, but they've got Bernardo, they've got Sterling, they've got Sane, they've got Mahrez now. Chelsea, they've got men there. United, there's a go-to man. There's only a couple men at Arsenal that are expected to be the go-to men. So away from all of that, he does need to play. He does need to raise it, and I do think words were said, but definitely not what the media's on about. They're obviously inflating stories and all of them things. Now, Unai Emery's denied it and told us what actually happened. Mateo's actually denied there's a rift between not just him, a couple other players going on this side. So I don't believe it in it. Either way, I believe it's not as sinister as the newspapers are saying it. I'm saying it's purely from a sporting front, as quite rightly so. Nobody, Mesut Ozil or Unai Emery, no one should get knickers in the twists. Keep it 100. Keep it 100. If you're not playing well or you could have done more, you are within your rights to be told about such. So yeah, obviously Ozil pulled a sickie and stuff like that, and he's had quite a few of them, especially towards the end of last season. We don't know what's going on there. I try to stay away from talking about things like that because things might be going on behind the scenes, God forbid, in his personal life, or he might be suffering from an illness that he doesn't really want to come out to the public in the same way. It's not the same, but in the same way, people were once questioning why David Silva weren't playing a couple of times last year, and they've now come out, he's now seen that he's sadly having issues with his newborn. Glad to see he's come out of that and the newborn's fighting and stuff, and they're not exactly the same. But what I mean by that is fans, we don't always know what's going on behind the scenes. So I do think we have to be easy with a lot of the comments we make and a lot of conclusions drawn. But many people don't see football beyond face value, and they don't have to be honest. In short, people, I think the papers are just talking nonsense, but I do believe that it's not, I mean, not even whether I do believe it, it's clearly plausible to think that, Emery sat Ozil down, or they had words about his performance, as probably done at one time with Czech, with Socrates, surely with Aaron Ramsey as well. This is how it should be. You play good, you stay in the side. You play poor, you come out the side. Aaron Ramsey he played crap against City, if I remember correctly. He got clipped for the Chelsea game. He came in against West Ham, another below par performance. He probably keeps his spot for next game, but you never know. If he gets clipped, you can't be surprised, and this is how it should be. One thing, Unai Emery, I rate him, and there's a lot to be seen, but one thing I rate him about is he's not on this delay thing. If you're playing rubbish, you're coming off between the 50th minute. He's not afraid to switch things up. This is one thing I give him, man, because we ain't got time for the 75th minute trying to bring on Lacazette and expecting something to happen. There's nothing more to be said on this front, man. In short, the papers are talking nonsense. Guys, deluded. Get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish. I'm out. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in, and enjoy Carnival for all you that are going. I'm out.